order. Welcome everybody. And we do have a quorum with all board members present. At this point, we'll open the meeting with a moment of silence that you could observe as you so choose. Thank you. Now if you'd stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, welcome to the meeting. I believe you have a couple of recognitions. Ward, do you have any specifically, Dr. Randall? Do you have any recognitions, Ward?
No, right.
All right. We'll do that. It's always a pleasure to do this. We did this recognition last year for the first time when we had several campuses who made all of the distinction designations, and we have two campuses this year that did the same thing. So at this point in time, the board would like to recognize Ray Elementary School and Hubenack Elementary School for your performance. I know we talked about this a little the other night, but I could probably go on for about an hour and a half recognizing people who did things during Harvey, people out of this district. But I tell you what, our community really stepped up. The activities that went on at Terry and down at George Junior High, it was absolutely amazing. The number of people that showed up. This community was feeding those people. It wasn't a Red Cross, it was us doing that. The custodians went above and beyond. You know, we're going to get a recognition in a little while, but custodians went way above and beyond. Common Threads was just amazing. We got staff, students. We had students from all over this district showing up. I know at Common Threads I saw some from Travis coming down to visit with us. Dr. Asagi, of course, we invaded his territory once again about a year later, so he had to endure that. Oak Bend Medical Center, they stepped up. I gave them a call, and they started sending doctors over there, doctors and nurses. We had volunteers, policemen from College Station come down. So it was just an absolutely amazing event. So congratulations to all of y'all that participated in that. It was really fantastic what this community did. So thank you, everybody. I have no other recognitions than that. Any introductions to that?
We have.
Sorry, Mr. President. I'd like to recognize those of, you forgot Fulsher.
Yeah.
Fulsher was a shelter. While we didn't get the privilege of having a lot of evacuees, we certainly were ready for them. At one point, we were supposed to receive 1,000, and we're ready to feed 1,000. And they never arrived, so we had a lot of food. But like the other locations, Mr. Ward was there he was there for probably 16-hour days. We had a lot of our cabinet members and our directors that came and did some of the most favorite jobs in the world, from picking up after the animals to separating all of the clothing. I know that we had people just drenched with sweat. I know I won't mention any names, but I think everybody who was there knows who those people were. But again, it wasn't the Red Cross. Certainly being under the Red Cross umbrella gives us that security and provides us everything that we need, but it's the people in our community. And I mentioned to one of our staff members the other day that I've always felt privileged to have been born in the United States. It's a privilege I feel a lot of people don't have, but I've never felt as privileged as I do now to have been born in Texas and be a Texan, and especially one in Fort Bend County. So thank you all for everything that you guys did, because it showed and it made a big difference. And it was, no one came in with badges and wanting special treatment. No one knew who you were, and they gave you the jobs that nobody else wanted. Thank you for being there. We appreciate it.
It was an amazing thing. I went out to George Ranch. We got the call that we're going to open up that facility, but that night it was floor to ceiling with things that were donated. There were the 2 gyms there were just covered wall to wall with blankets and pillows. And we didn't get anybody out there, but it was just, to me, just overwhelming. And I would like to recognize Kevin McKeever too, because I pestered the daylights out of him during that whole time, and I know he must have had 500 other calls a day besides mine, things like, what can we do with 130 dozen eggs, and lots of other little things. So he was absolutely fabulous in responding to a million needs during that period of time. So again, thank you all very much.
I like the story where the high school volunteer at Common Threads. Would they tell you to take these some?
Oh yeah, I'm prancing through there, and there's this one of the students comes up. I walk through the entrance there where they check in, and he says, "Here, take this pill to the other side." Tells me to start stocking stuff, whatever. So it was quite a thing. All right, audience patrons, we have any?
No.
Introductions. I'm sorry, I got.
Sir.
Don't interrupt me. I'll totally lose my place. So.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to the new assistant principal at Terry High School, Jonathan Spearing. He is a 2005 graduate of the University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh, with a bachelor's degree in natural science. In 2017, he received his master's in educational administration from Lamar University. He has 8 years of teaching experience at Terry High School and has already started as their new AP. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now,
We are now in the meeting when the board allots time for persons who desire to make comments to the board. Persons who wish to speak to the board must sign up to do so as they arrive, and they must indicate the topic about which they wish to speak. No presentation shall exceed 5 minutes. Delegations of more than 5 persons shall appoint 1 person to present their views. The board will hear the concerns, but the board cannot deliberate, discuss, or make a decision on any subject that is not posted on the agenda. Persons who speak to the board cannot complain about a district officer or employee in open session. Such concerns are heard in closed session after proper posting of the agenda item has occurred. As you come forward, please state your name and your address. And our first speaker is Dan Ives.
I'm Dan Ives and reside at 2500 Pecan Drive, Rosenberg. First of all, I want to personally thank Dr. Harrell and Mr. Steenbergen for meeting the political fiasco this last year head on. Enough said. I come before you to ask them some questions and make some comments. What is the status of the departmental functional audit that supposedly will address the concept of outsourced construction management? When will the issue of construction management be addressed in respect to the November bond issue? Will such decision be made timely in regard to making a program change? Has any board member personally met with Dan Boggio, PBK CEO, to discuss the matter of construction management as well as other significant matters? If not, I trust that will happen soon. PBK is providing architectural services for duplicated cookie-cutter schools for a 3% fee, which includes project management, while LCISD is paying an outsourced construction manager a greater fee for checking the architect's work. The architect has all the license liability, and the construction manager has virtually none. For the coming bond issue, school board members have the responsibility to thoroughly research and document the pros and cons of outsourced construction management to the tune of more than $8 million versus employing in-house professional personnel for much less than $500,000 a year. The board owes it to the taxpaying public to make an informed decision. Thank you for your commitment to our community, and I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's all, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Mr. time, I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of August 15th, 2017, the special meeting workshop.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 15th, 2017 special meeting workshop minutes.
Have a second to that? Ms. Kaminsky, any comments, questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 17th, 2017 special meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes to the
Ms.
special
Roberts.
meeting August 17th.
Have a second to that? Mandy? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2017 regular board meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the August 17th, 2017 regular board meeting.
Ms. Denziger? Second to that? Ms. Bronsell? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Thank you. Board member reports?
You start.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'll just go with, I attended a meeting with the School Health Advisory Council. Short-term is SHAC this past Tuesday. And last year, the council served over 565 students. And as of this week, they have already served 387 students. And we have just begun the year. So they're going to have a lot of challenges coming up. They also had a program, the topic was on behavioral challenges. And they rely a lot on parent and community volunteers. And I would like to encourage anyone who has an interest in the well-being of our children to contact Brenda Thompson at lcisdshack@gmail.com. They also try to announce all of some of the upcoming events that are going on, and I'm trying to downsize this. We were there for 2.5 hours, and I know they're going to make a presentation next month. One of the programs, and maybe you can help me, was called the Battle of the Birds. Is anybody familiar with this? Terry High School?
That's the football
Is
game
that the-
against the two of those teams.
Those teams this year are going to dedicate all the proceeds to the Lunches of Love. The second project that they are going to help with is Say Yes to the Prom Dress. And this is through Common Threads. And Common Threads wants everyone to know that they are starting to accept slightly worn prom dresses. And they'll be doing this through December. I just wanted to throw that out to everybody. Also today we had a facilities committee meeting, and they were nice enough to give me the talking points, so we'll just read them off. Even with Harvey, they announced that the construction projects fared very well. Everything seems to be pretty well on their timeline. Carl Briscoe Bentley Elementary School, the traffic signals have been turned on and are operational. And they're going to bring a construction contract to the October board meeting for final acceptance. Lindsay Elementary School, the planning to bring construction contract to the October board meeting for final acceptance. Pink Elementary repairs, all the building repairs have been completed. The planning to bring their construction contract will be to the October board meeting for final acceptance. The chiller replacements, which were 8 chillers at 6 schools, have been completed, and they will also be brought to us for final acceptance in October. The Carter Elementary School is now on schedule. They had a week delay, but they found that everything is still going well. The concrete planks are 70% complete. The topping slab has been poured on 30% of the buildings, and the 700 cubic yards of concrete were poured on the first of the parking lots this morning. Culver Elementary School, will be a repeat design of the new Carter Elementary, currently under construction. And the VLK architects will be presenting the design development of this Carter Elementary for approval in our October board meeting. We're going to be very busy in October approving a lot.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
Roberts Middle School will be a repeat design of the Polly Ryan Middle School. And PBK Architects will be presenting the design development of Roberts Middle School for approval also in October. Fulshire High School, the shell space is a project to complete the framing and finishes for classrooms as student enrollment increases with each added grade level. PBK will also be presenting the design development of Fulshire High School shell space for approval in October. The new maintenance and operations facility, the construction of the building pad is nearly its final height. The sanitary sewer easement across Center Point right-of-way is on the board agenda. The natatoriums at George Ranch, Foster, and Fulshire. At George Ranch, the building piers are complete, and the contractor is beginning to excavate for the pool. The Fulshire building pad and piers are complete, and the grade beam construction is underway. Foster excavation will begin next week. The band hall additions at Terry High School and Lamar Consolidated High School. Terry High, the finishing building pad this week. The Lamar Consolidated High School building pad construction is complete. The baseball complex at Terry High School. The building pads for the dugouts, bleachers, and concession buildings are complete. Slabs have been poured for concessions building and the baseball bleachers. And the new light poles have been installed on the softball field. The district-wide site lighting, this is the parking lot lighting and the exterior building wall lights, will be replaced at 46 schools. The construction contract has been awarded, and they anticipate to be completed around spring break. Foster High School water plant upgrades. Construction documents have been advertised for contractor pricing. Planning to bring their contractor award recommendation to our October board meeting. You will be here in October, won't you?
Yes, I will.
District-wide access controls. Building plans have been completed to identify the doors to receive the card access. Requests for purchasing cooperative contractor proposals have been issued for pricing. Planning to bring the contractor award recommendation to our October board meeting. And we also had a presentation on the new elementary school tracks and synthetic turf fields at Campbell and Dickinson Elementary tracks, and they are also on their schedule. We did all of this in 20 minutes.
Yes, we did.
Thank you.
All right. We did not have a technology meeting, but we did get some updates, and when I went through it, I found a few little things I'd like to bring to the board to let them hear. Right now, they are looking for with their backup infrastructure upgrade. They are currently looking to solutions that will give us more growth capacity, increased throughput, which will allow us to back up the growing amounts of data in our current backup window. An agenda item to upgrade our current backup infrastructure should be presented to the board for approval in November. So we have that coming up. And for the past 3 years, they've had the Best Startup Ever program, and the Technology Integration Department has launched this program and campaign. And the goal of this campaign each year is to have every teacher's classroom 100% ready for students from a technology perspective. And this was our most successful campaign ever. During the teacher work week, before students came, there were 2,766 technology work orders were created by the staff as they walked through their technology readiness checklist. During normal operations, it takes about 8 weeks to produce these many tickets. By leveraging the full team and working long hours, by the time the students arrived, 2,059 of those tickets were already fixed. So that's excellent to make sure that the classrooms are ready to go. The other thing that I would like to point out, one of the last hurrahs we got to do right before Harvey hit, Mr. Steenbergen and I got to go over to Lamar High School for the GROW Project Award Ceremony, and that's where the pre-K and kindergarten students work on their laptops over the summer. And over the 12-week program, students averaged 1,144 minutes in the Waterford Early Literacy Program. In total, students accumulated over 227,714 minutes in the Waterford Early Literacy Program, and of the 200 students that started, 176 students completed the work necessary, and they did. They earned their bicycle and their new bike helmets, and I walked out with several as they were leaving. I said, hurry, go home and ride before the storm hits. That's what because it was already beginning to rain, but we were so glad to get that.
Yes.
And there was many of the kids came that day too, so I was glad to see that we didn't have to postpone that one.
Great event.
It was. Thank you.
Any other reports to the board? Doctor? Yes, go ahead.
I was just going to make a comment. So everybody knows that we have designated September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and I just wanted to make a comment. There's, this affects so many kids and so many families, and I just think it's very important that we bring attention and awareness to this. And I just ask if any of y'all know any of these kiddos or their families, that you show them the kids your support, their family is your support, and then you keep them in your thoughts and prayers, not just in September, but year-round. It's a rough deal. It really is. I've seen it from close friends of mine. But it's important that we bring awareness to it, and I just ask that you keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And there's a ton of wonderful organizations that support childhood cancer research and treatment for people to get involved in and donate to. But anyways, that's all I had.
All right, thank you, Tyson. Dr. Randall?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. We want to talk a little bit about the work that the district did through, and Ms. Vogt is going to introduce a video for us this evening called Heart of a District. So.
During the board meeting each month, we like to acknowledge our students and how they grow and inspire us with their learning. This year, though, we couldn't think of a better way to open our September board meeting than by sharing and honoring the spirit of LCISD during the recent events.
We had measured our water in the home about 5 feet 4 inches from the flood.
When the river rose, since we live so close to it, we got about 3 or 4 inches in our home.
I couldn't believe that how this happened again. I was pretty much devastated and heartbreaking. It was just sad seeing all that in person and how much it had ruined your property, your home, and the inside of the house.
Nasty river, layer of mud everywhere. The smell is really bad.
I was seeing rescues going on across Houston, thousands of people being rescued.
I suddenly started seeing and realizing that this was really an extraordinarily devastating thing, and that our families were really getting affected by it.
There was this part of me that said, I need to do something, because I can get out of my neighborhood and I can drive around town if I need to.
If you are shopping for Naomi Gonzalez.
As the storm rushed in, so did our volunteers. Everybody just poured in to come and help others that are in need.
To have them believe in our program and to come from all over. I mean, I get packages from New York, Illinois, Missouri, New Jersey, California. Regular people took time off their lives to come and support us.
People have been out of work. They're not having a paycheck. We feel that this is the best thing that we could do to make sure that they know that somebody cares.
We rerouted people to all the different outlying communities. We didn't want their needs to go unmet.
They came by asking if we needed any extra donations with supplies, and we said yes, we'll take whatever we can, and I was really blessed.
It was amazing to see the whole Lamar CISD community come together. You saw administrators, teachers, counselors, students, coaches, all pulling together with the same common goal of helping our community.
I had several people from my own campus come out and help me pack up my house, helped us clean out our house, families from our school, former students' families who'd come. They repaired our backyard fence so our dogs would have a place to come home to. They helped me clean floors.
I think a lot of people discovered that was that they had more within them to share and to give, and they had more within them that could positively affect other people's lives.
It's really just renewed my faith that people will come to those in need when it's needed the most. And I just feel blessed to have been a part of it, to have witnessed it, to have brought all these wonderful, crazy LCISD and community people together, and everybody found a place.
Just return. Go ahead.
Our district employees really pulled together in many different ways to support the children and families during the flood. We weren't the only ones, though. We had the leadership of some of the people in this room that we always rely on.
We just returned from Holsworth, and one of the things that they talked to us about was organizational culture. And we got a chance to see a little bit about how HEB functions, but one of the things that they talked to us about was the culture of giving of that organization. Well, the LCISD exhibited during the flood the type of culture that this school district is. You saw in the video how we all came together to support each other. But this board also exhibited a lot of leadership and were a good example of the culture that we have in Lamar CISD. Many of you were out there, whether it was at Common Threads, or whether you were at one of the shelters, or wherever you were, and in some instances you were out there making sure that we could communicate with one another. But this board showed a lot of leadership. And in particular, Mr. Steenbergen, I couldn't get out of my subdivision. But we were on the phone, and Mr. Steenbergen was definitely going out to the shelters, going out to the Common Threads, and doing a lot of the types of things that demonstrated to the rest of us what leadership is really all about. So we want to say thank you to this board for you exhibiting that during one of the traumatic times in our district's history. So thank you very much, and we appreciate that. We're thanking you guys.
Thank you so much. Well, we may be a growing district, but we're still family.
That's what makes us special.
I have to catch my breath here a minute, Dr. Randall. Do we have any other information for immediate attention, Dr. Randall?
No, sir.
Thank you. At this point in time, we'll establish the consent agenda. Item A1, I've been requested to pull item A2 and item A3. Item B1, item B2, item B3, item B4, need to pull item B5, item B6A, B6B, B6C, and B6D, item B7, item B8, item B9, item B10, item B11, and item B12. All right, the items on the consent agenda are A1, B1, B2, B3, B4, B6, all four items under B6, B6A, B, C, and D, B7, B8, B9, B10, B11, and B12. Could Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items, please?
I make a motion, Mr. President, that we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Can I have a second to that motion, please?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. Thank you. At this point, we'll consider item A2, which is on page 21. Could I have a motion to authorize the superintendent to submit a class size waiver to the education agency?
I'll make a motion to ask the, I'm sorry.
Submit a class.
To authorize the superintendent.
Yes, thank you.
To submit a class waiver to the TEA.
Thank you, yes.
Do I have a second to that? Mandy? Discussion?
I have a question. Or the principals have the option, and I know we discussed this the other night. I understand from the administrative part about ratios and how important it is financially. But for the betterment of for the children, smaller ratios are better. I just wanted to make a comment that I think developmentally, the younger kids, why are their child staff ratio can be larger, say, than in the junior high level or the high school level? Developmentally, it's a proven fact that the younger children need more one-on-one with the teachers. And I have a concern that allowing the teachers more children, knowing, especially at Frost, knowing that that school is going to be growing this year, it already is, why wouldn't we hire an additional teacher?
There's a couple of factors in play. Number one, at this point, because the kids have already started and they're very close to the 22-to-1, the principal and the team agree that at this time they don't necessarily want to split the students' schedules. Again, we're also later in the year, so that impacts the quality of candidates available. The teachers this is a decision that the principal makes in conjunction with the teachers. The principal does not make this arbitrarily. She sits down with the team and they say, we'd like to keep our kids.
Can I make a comment? Being a mother of elementary school age children, if it's a matter of one or two students, I can tell you that 99% of the parents would prefer their child stay with that teacher rather than another teacher coming in. And that probably has a lot to do with it, because knowing my fourth grader, for example, if another teacher was added to her grade level right now, and we were facing a possibility of her having to be moved out because another teacher was being added, that would be very difficult for her, it would be very difficult for us and the majority of the other parents. And as Dr. Bowen said, the other thing is that the quality of the teachers that were not already hired is probably not something that we want to really hire right now unless we're forced to, and those numbers get a lot larger.
And I can assure you, the principal of Frost did review the applicants that we have right now, and they were not of the caliber that she wished at her school for her students. I can tell you that initially when we polled at the beginning of school, Frost added a couple of new kindergarten students, so that it increased by 2 students in 1 week. And it might increase, we just don't know.
Isn't there the possibility if it really got out of hand, you could always put a long-term sub in there if you needed to? But until that happens, this is with young children, they get so attached right at the beginning.
Within the first week, they get attached, and they don't understand why they have to go someplace else.
Right.
And I understand that. I deal with young children all the time, and ratios, but smaller ratios for the children is better than having the larger ratios. I don't agree with the 22. I never have. I feel like that is way too large of a number, but that's my personal opinion. And when we're dealing with younger children, being able to have more of a relationship with them, that 22 is a large class. And I know teachers understand that. They're not going to vocally say that. I have a teacher that does the same thing. She loves every one of her 18 children. If I asked her to put in 20, she would do it. But developmentally, what is better for the kids? So I'm just making that statement because I don't agree with this. And this was the only opportunity I'd had to to express that, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? One opposed, Mr. Kaminsky. The motion passes. Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the 2017-18 agreement for Triple P Parenting and Training?
I'll make a motion that we consider approval of the 2017-2018 agreement for Triple P Parenting Training.
Do I have a second to that? Mr. Harrell? Discussion?
I had a question. I'm sorry. I read this, and it was saying that the training is starting September the 20th, which was yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to approve something that has already started?
No, ma'am, it has not started because of Harvey. All of the dates, we just stopped it, froze it until it could go before the board, and then they've agreed that we've just bumped the dates back by the 2 weeks because of the flood situation.
So when we're not approving this September the 20th?
These dates will have to be pushed back 2 weeks. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the motion?
I do have one other comment.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a lot of these programs with the grants for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And I'm trying to understand what a 1 year pilot program, how beneficial that can be, because there's no talk about 2, 3, or 4 years from now. And I know these young parents are very eager to come to meetings, and they're very eager to come for training, but we're waiting until they're in the 5th and 6th grade. A lot of parents lose interest by that time, and you wanting to give them some education about where their children are coming from, why they are doing certain things, giving them tools to work with their children. I would like to see it being done at a younger age, because it's a fact, everybody, kindergarten and first grade, you always have a full house. Parents are willing to go, and I think we should just start thinking about getting them younger than waiting for later. Is there anything in the makings for something like that?
Actually, we already have, TEA provides a counseling curriculum that begins in early childhood, even as far down as kindergarten. We have, one of the initiatives and purposes of our counselors at the elementary schools is to work with families at the school that may be at risk, or for children who are at risk. Each of our elementary schools takes that program and uses the strategies that fit the demographics of their campus in involving parents in the children's lives. So there is a piece in place. Some of them supplement that with programs like The Leader in Me or the Ron Clark's Essential 55. Those are parts and parcels of introducing and emphasizing skills that parents are encouraged to learn and know about through different venues and work with their children at home on. This particular grant is very unique. It is very research-based, and we'll have the opportunity to evaluate it with the actual results at the end of it that are accrued during the parent meetings and in working with the counselors. It was selected in our case specifically for 6th grade because a transition from the 5th grade to 6th grade is the first time our children's transition from one campus to another, unless, of course, they've moved in between. 6th grade is also early adolescence, when children tend to begin to feel more vulnerable, when peer pressure begins to be more important sometimes than what mom or dad think. And so this program was specifically designed, as we looked at it, investigated it, to put in place for our 6th grade. If it proves to be effective, we can continue with it, but the MOU is just for 1 year for us to look at it and evaluate it for 1 year at a time. Most of the grants that we receive are based on that. For example, the early childhood grant that we received last year, the state of Texas waited. It proved to be highly successful, and that grant is renewed again. So when they're discontinued, it's usually because the cost benefit of the grant, it just wasn't delivering the kind of support and assistance that was hopeful for that initiative. I hope that's helpful.
And just one
Sure.
quick. It says that they would submit data to the children at risk on a bi-monthly basis. Is there any way that we can request that we see that report?
I think the way that this is planned is that at the end of the year, they consolidate all of that. Those are more formative in nature, meaning they get feedback from it so they can adjust the program, make changes, do some evaluation of it. And then at the end of the year, we'll have a complete report for the board that will supply you all with all of the information on the grant, on the program and how successful it was.
You mentioned Carter. I think, what school is this at? The two schools?
It's at all of our sixth grade campuses.
Okay, which one is in the elementary, that Leader in Me?
The Leader in Me, I believe, we have that at a couple of our elementary schools, the Lee Martin Melendez.
I remember attending one of those.
Right, the Leader in Me is at both at Hutchison and Meyer Elementary.
Meyer.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we doing a follow-up on those students after they left the fifth grade as to how they were doing? Because that program was excellent.
Phenomenal.
Are we doing any
Does it
follow-ups?
end in the fifth grade?
It ends at the school that's participating in the program. And Hutchison and Meyer are the only schools, to my knowledge, in the district that are participating in the Leader in Me.
And we've not done any formal assessment of how well the kids have done when they transition from fifth grade to sixth grade. We don't have any data.
We don't have any.
No, we do not.
Okay, all right. I
Yet.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor to approve, please say aye. Opposed? Ms. Kaminsky? Item B5, need a motion to approve approval of a resolution setting forth a nominee for the Board of Directors of the Fort Bend Central Appraisal District. We'll need that motion with somebody's name in it.
We need that motion with somebody's name on it?
With somebody's name, if we're going to nominate somebody for that.
But we don't necessarily need
Pardon me?
nominees, right? We should.
We need to put a name in, if we're
Okay.
going to give our votes to somebody to nominate them, we need to have a person's name in there whom we are nominating.
Okay, Mr. President, I make a motion that we nominate William Schuer to the Fort Bend Central Appraisal District Board.
Do I have a second to that motion? Dr. Harrell, any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? There are none. The motion carries. Thank you. At this point in time, Ms. Danziger, would you read the resolutions that we passed a little while ago, please?
Yes. We have four, one for each week in October. So, the first one is for Custodial Work Recognition Week. Whereas National Custodial Worker Recognition Day is celebrated throughout the United States on October 2nd, 2017, and whereas this day recognizes the importance of a clean, well-kept learning environment, and whereas custodial staff members are valuable members of the educational team on our campuses, and whereas the assistance of custodial staff members is particularly important in the daily activities and operations of a school district, and whereas they serve our educational community by providing their talent and efforts in supporting students and staff, therefore be it resolved that the trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declare October 2nd through the 6th, 2017 as Custodial Worker Recognition Week in the Lamar Consolidated Independent Schools District, adopted this 21st day of September 2017 by the Board of Trustees. Then, whereas the abuse of drugs and tobacco and alcohol has reached epidemic stages in our nation, and whereas visible unified efforts at prevention education are the best ways to reduce demand for illegal drugs, and whereas October 23rd through the 31st, 2017 has been declared nationwide as Red Ribbon Week, and whereas our community will join with others throughout the nation to demonstrate its commitment to a healthy, drug-free lifestyle by wearing and displaying red ribbons and participating in drug-free awareness activities during this week-long observance, and whereas Lamar Consolidated Independent School District is committed to a drug-free community, has committed its efforts and resources to a drug abuse prevention education. Therefore, the Board of Trustees, Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declares October 23rd through the 31st, 2017 as Red Ribbon Week in Lamar Consolidated Independent School District and encourage the district staff, students, parents, businesses, community members to support and participate in drug prevention activities. And we have School Bus Safety Week. Whereas School Bus Safety Week is celebrated throughout the United States during the week of October 16th through the 20th, 2017. And whereas School Bus Safety Week recognizes the importance of transporting students safely to and from school and school activities, and whereas transportation staff members are valuable members of the educational team, and whereas the expert assistance of transportation staff members is especially important in the activities and operations of school district, and whereas those staff members are diligent in safely transporting our students and staff, therefore, be it resolved, the trustees, Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declare October 16th to the 20th, 2017 as School Bus Safety Week in the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District, adopted this 21st day of September 2017 by the Board of Trustees. And finally, School Lunch Week, a good time to go and eat in the cafeterias in this district. Whereas School Lunch Week is celebrated throughout the United States during the week of October 9th through the 13th, 2017, and whereas the National School Lunch Program has served our nation admirably for more than 60 years through advanced practices in nutrition education, and whereas School Lunch Week recognizes the importance of nutritious school lunch program, and whereas food service staff members are a valuable part of our school's educational teams, and whereas the assistance of food service staff members is vital in the daily activities and operations of a school district, and whereas they serve our educational community by providing nourishment for students and staff, therefore be it resolved that the trustees of the Lamar Consolidated Independent School District declare October 9th through the 13th, 2017 as School Lunch Week in Lamar Consolidated Independent School District, adopted this 21st day of September 2017 by the Board of Trustees.
Thank you. Make it drink water.
And there's something for every week.
For everybody. Does the board have any more questions about the information items? Have we anything come up we need to go to closed session, Dr. Randall?
No, sir.
All right. Action item, future agenda items.
Are we going to be having a report soon about the audit?
We had to delay the review of the audit with the staff because
So y'all
of
have
the
not had
Harvey.
that yet?
That is scheduled for this coming week, and then we'll
Okay, just
follow up
checking to
after
see
that.
where it was.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any upcoming meetings and events that we need to know about
Next week,
next week?
we have, ones of us are going to Region 4 for, are you going?
Yes. They'll be recognizing Dr. Randall at Region 4 next week for Superintendent of the Year for Region 4. We also have some mandatory trainings. You either have to get there or someplace else.
I understand there's steak and lobster.
And hopefully next month when we come back, we'll be presenting this.
You want to hear something? You want to hear something fun? Well, the last night down at the shelter, they had lobster delivered. I said, I may have to stay over tonight. Anyway.
At the Fulton
All right.
shelter, they had lobster.
Sweet.
Maine Cousins Maine Lobster came and fed at the Fulton.
I think Terry had
Pelly,
red lobster.
Pelly did too. We were treated really well. I wasn't really there for the service, I was there for the food.
If there's no other items to discuss, we will call this meeting adjourned at 7:49.